Welcome to Profit and Past, where we journey through the captivating stories behind the world's most influential businesses and the people who shaped them. Today we're delving into the fascinating saga of Eastern Airlines. To better understand the story of Eastern Air, we first have to go back to its humble beginnings. Their story takes flight in the year 1924, with the creation of a company called Pitcairn Aircraft Company. This company primarily focused on airmail and produced a series of aircraft which were used to deliver mail across America, most notably the Pitcairn Mailwing PA-6. As part of this series, the company was a forerunner of the autogyros, a kind of helicopter plane hybrid which was the precursor to the helicopter. Eventually, the company expanded into delivering the mail themselves, securing contracts to run routes for the US Postal Service. They operated routes covering over 4,000 miles, connecting major cities along the eastern seaboard. This newfound lucrative venture was not to last though, as after the 1934 Airmail Act, the company would be stripped of almost all its contracts. As a result, the company would have to pivot. Its new venture would be the beginnings of its passenger aircraft empire, with General Motors purchasing the company and renaming it to Eastern Airlines. Under General Motors ownership, the company would begin its first major passenger flights, once again primarily servicing the eastern seaboard, offering flights from major hubs in New York, Washington, and Chicago. General Motors would not retain ownership of the airline for long, however, with the company once again being sold on in 1938, this time to World War I flying ace Eddie Rickenbacker, a man who was not only a national hero, but also a passionate advocate for the potential of aviation. Eddie's passionate leadership would push the company towards a new era of growth and innovation. Rickenbacker's approach was the stuff of legends, known to personally test aircraft and even meet passengers after flights to gather feedback. During this period, Eastern Airlines was one of, if not the most profitable airline in the United States, expanding into new routes, including internationally, with the purchase of Colonial Airways, adding routes to Canada as well as Mexico. By 1959, Rickenbacker's inspiring leadership had begun to show some cracks. In particular, Rickenbacker's reluctance to purchase the new and expensive jet planes proved to be a crucial error, as these new planes held immense appeal to the public and cut down on flight times. Due to this reluctance, and several other issues, Rickenbacker was eventually ousted in favor of a new management team. This new management team would bring on a fleet of jets, and work to re-establish Eastern Airlines' reputation as the airline of choice on the East Coast. As part of this, the airline ran extremely frequent flights between major hubs on the East Coast, running flights between New York, Washington, Boston, and Chicago every hour 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. As part of this service, no reservations or tickets were required. Passengers could simply board the plane and pay their fare on board. If a flight was full, they would simply roll out another plane to carry the extra passengers. This ease of travel, combined with a focus on quiet, modern planes, as well as a more premium service, helped re-establish Eastern Airlines as the premium aviation company of choice in Eastern United States. Going into the 1970s, Eastern Airlines was on top of the world, continuing to expand its operations internationally and domestically, even becoming the official airlines of the new Disney World when it opened. As part of this deal, the airline even sponsored an Eastern Airlines ride at the resort, called If You Have Wings. The company's rapid expansion and emphasis on new, premium aircraft and exceptional service were beginning to take a significant financial toll. Following the Airline Deregulation Act of 1978, the aviation industry underwent a transformative shift. The deregulation led to increased competition, as numerous new carriers entered the market, offering lower fares and more flexible services. Established airlines like Eastern Airlines struggled to adapt to this new unregulated environment, where price wars and cost-cutting became the new norm. The airline's traditional business model, which focused on providing premium services at higher costs, was increasingly at odds with the industry's new dynamics. In an ambitious move to modernize its fleet and maintain a competitive edge, Eastern Airlines placed a substantial order for Boeing 757 aircraft in 1978. The Boeing 757 was a state-of-the-art, narrow-body jetliner that promised greater fuel efficiency, longer range, and enhanced passenger comfort compared to older models. This purchase was intended to replace aging aircraft and signal to the market that Eastern was committed to innovation and excellence. However, the acquisition of the Boeing 757 fleet marked the beginnings of a series of costly aircraft purchases that would saddle the company with escalating debt. The capital required for these new planes was immense, and Eastern financed these purchases through substantial loans. While the new aircraft did offer operational advantages, the immediate financial burden outweighed the benefits. The airline's debt levels began to rise sharply, creating significant strain on its financial resources. By 1986, Eastern Airlines was grappling with severe financial difficulties. Throughout the 1980s, there was an oil glut, causing global oil prices to fall sharply. meaning that whilst operating costs decreased, the operational advantages from its investment in new, fuel-efficient aircraft were no longer as important. Simultaneously, the interest rates on these loans taken to finance the new aircraft had increased, which meant that Eastern was paying over $700,000 in interest each day. This staggering amount drained the company's cash reserves and limited its ability to invest in other critical areas, such as marketing, customer service, and employee training. At the same time, the airline faced intense competition from emerging low-cost carriers that operated with more efficient cost structures and offered lower fares. These competitors were not burdened by the same level of debt and could adapt more quickly to market changes. Eastern's larger, more complex organization struggled to implement the necessary cost reductions without affecting service quality. Internal challenges further worsened financial issues. Labor relations had become increasingly strained as management sought concessions from unions to reduce operating costs. Employees faced wage freezes, reduced benefits, and concerns over job security, leading to low morale and decreased productivity. As a result, by the mid-1980s, the company found itself in a perfect storm of financial distress. Unable to compete in the new deregulated market with an expensive premium service that made it difficult to cut costs, and a massive amount of debt which had not helped it to gain an advantage over its competitors. All of this meant that by 1986, Eastern Airlines was on the verge of bankruptcy. Eastern Airlines would find its savior in Texas Air, led by Frank Lorenzo, who had already purchased and restructured Continental Air and was known for his aggressive cost-cutting strategies and union busting. Following his purchase, he would apply these same tactics in an effort to turn Eastern Airlines around to profitability. Eastern's premium offerings and frequent flights were scrapped in favor of less convenience and lower costs. Employees were also asked to take significant pay cuts, sometimes as high as 40%, and premium customer service options were taken away. These efforts would do little to stem the bleeding. Instead, they would hasten the slow death of the airline, as mechanics, pilots, and flight attendant unions all went on strike, and passenger numbers continued to decline. Eastern Airlines would enter freefall. Cost-cutting would further worsen relations with customers, as articles trashed their poor service and rumors of impending bankruptcy dogged the airline. Customers soon would become worried that their flights would not even take off, refunding tickets en masse and causing a cash crunch which left Eastern Airlines essentially on its last legs. Following another round of strikes and attempts at restructuring their growing debt falling through in 1991, the company publicly pleaded for help from customers, employees, and even regulators to save the troubled airline. However, shortly before midnight on January 18, 1991, news broke.
After more than 62 years in the airline business, Eastern Airlines is grounded for good. In just 2 hours, Eastern Airlines will no longer be flying. Channel 7's Michael Williams reported the story exclusively this afternoon. He joins us now live from Eastern's corporate headquarters in Miami. Michael.
One employee leaving here said it's hard to believe the old lady will be gone, referring to 62-year-old Eastern Airlines. The official word from Eastern Airlines public.
Thanks for watching Profit and Past. If you'd like to see more business and history content, click subscribe and check out our channel.